Hey everyone, and welcome back to another collective moon update. We are having a full moon in the sign of Capricorn. It's actually our second full moon in the sign of Capricorn. We had one last month in June, and we're having another one now in July. And this is supposed to be like a really potent one because of other astrological transits that are occurring around the same time and that are aspecting this moon. I know this moon is making a strong aspect to Pluto, and as you guys probably already know, Pluto is going to be moving permanently into Aquarius by November of this year. It was previously in the sign of Capricorn for like the last 16 years, since about 2008. So it's marking like the end of a huge karmic cycle. So if you guys want to reflect back to 2008, the time frame from 2008 till this year, maybe you want to take a look at your Capricorn house and your birth chart to see what area of your life was impacted, the things that happened, the things that unfolded, how things played out for you. You may want to do that so you can get like a better idea of what karmic cycle is closing out for you. What are you wrapping up? What are you finally like moving away from, breaking out of? I'm actually super excited about that transit because I'm a Capricorn sun myself. So I just feel like Pluto and Capricorn, it really, we took a beating. Us Capricorns took a beating. So we need to be proud of ourselves, Capricorns, virtual high five. We did that, we did it. And I feel like if we could do that, then that gives us all the information that we need to know that we can do anything, okay? We are capable of anything. So hopefully for us, things start getting a little bit, better. Because I can't even lie, like when I look back and reflect at that, long period of time, a lot definitely happened. I've definitely learned a lot, and I am ready to move forward, ready, to leave the past in the past. But how are you guys feeling? How has the energy been treating you? I'm super curious, and I'd love to know. So if you're feeling called to share, please do. I've been feeling actually really amazing. I've been feeling great. I feel like the energy has been intense, definitely. I also feel like I'm a little bit on a short fuse, like, don't mess with me. No, but I'm taking responsibility and keeping myself in check, in order, but also allowing myself to express, like whenever I feel I need to. Like if your boundaries are being crossed and if you're being threatened, then you have to, and you have to speak up and you have to be firm, then so be it, So that's definitely come up for me. And I do feel like I'm improving so much because where I used to feel guilty about that, about kind of like speaking up and expressing myself, even like the more difficult emotions, now I'm like, I see the validity in it, and I'm allowing myself to do that without the guilt. Which, if that's any indication of how things are going to continue to progress from here on out, I am so happy about that. I am so here for that. I've also been a little sick, which when stuff happens with Pluto or like Scorpio, I notice that I get like health stuff. So it's just an annoying cold. I feel really good though. It's just like, it's annoying. I slacked. I didn't take my oregano oil because usually when I feel a little something and I take my oil with like tea or water, whatever I feel usually goes away like in 1 to 2 days. But this time I completely didn't take my little oil, and I paid the price. Hi, you're gonna hang out with me? You can hang out, you can sit over there, you can sit on a chair, wherever you want, but just be quiet, okay? Mwah. But enough about me. Let's go ahead and get right into these messages. I'm so curious to see what comes up. So as you guys know, these readings are always intended to be for the highest good of us all, of all of us that are here joining in, tuned in. This is an opportunity for our spirit guides and our spirit angels to communicate with us, to give us messages that are going to be helpful for us at this time, to shine a light on anything that we need clarity or guidance about, that is going to help us on our journey. I invite you to take a moment to center yourself, take a few breaths in and out, gather your energy so that you can open yourself up to receive these messages while I go ahead and get out this spread. Like I said, I'm super excited to see like what Spirit wants to talk to us about now, what's going to be important for us to remember at this time. These are some crazy, wild times that we're in, you guys. So I feel like we can all use the support. So let's take a look. Okay, so this energy is talking to us about breaking past obstacles and just having the energy and having the discipline that we need to push past something that's difficult. Also creating a logical plan and like knowing exactly what it is that we need to do to push past and have a breakthrough of some kind. This looks like, having to do something, like feeling like an obligation, like it's like you have to do something that isn't really, I want to say safe. Like it's not like, oh, well, I know that if I do this and if I make this happen, if I'm successful, if I make it to the other side, like I know that this is the outcome. It's like this looks risky, you know what I mean? It looks like you're not sure if you're going to be able to pull it off or if you're going to get the outcome that you want to get, or like there is kind of like an instability here, like an unknowing, like not really knowing, not being fully sure, not being like 100% like sure about this plan and sure that it's going to pan out and that it's going to work. And maybe that's why you hadn't acted on it before, because it was like it could go either way. But I feel like we're finding ourselves at a point right now where it's like, I just heard, like if we have to try. We have to try. And even if we die trying, it's like at least we tried or something. At least we set it into motion. At least we had the courage, to try to be successful, to try to reach a certain outcome. It looks like for me, that what we're trying to do is trying to be more authentically who we are, trying to bust out and like bloom into something that we're meant to do, something that we strongly identify with, something that we feel is our purpose, something that we feel is an accurate representation of who we are as people. It's like fighting for a cause, fighting for a cause because you know that you believe in it, because you know that this is what you want to support and stand behind, because this is like what's true to you. It could also be like individuality, like standing up for your individuality, for your autonomy, for your truth. This could also really be talking about leadership, like taking the reins and leading. But yeah, you are like standing up for some truth energy here. And although you don't know how it's going to be received, you don't know, things are not really guaranteed. Like success is not really guaranteed. It's like having the courage to just try, because you know that it's your truth and you know that like this is what is in your heart. And I feel like that if you don't try, that you're going to regret it. I feel like you'll regret it in the long run, like not having even tried to do something. But it is telling you to have a plan, to have like a very like outlined plan versus like just jumping into this and wishing for the best and praying. It is saying like we need to think about this, we need to have a plan, we need to outline things. It does need to make logical sense just so that we can give ourselves the best chance to make it. Because I'm seeing like a keyhole, like it needs to be very precise, whatever this is that we need to do, that we're going for. It's like it's very precise, like you need to like make it right on time or something, or there are certain like bounds or boundaries or something that you need to get through like in a very precise way to be able to make it on the other side. It's like very narrow, you know? It looks like the opportunity for success is very narrow, but you just need to believe in yourself, and you need to know that it's possible, even if you've never seen it happen before, you've never seen it be done before, you never had that modeled to you or something like that. You know, that's why you have this perspective of like, oh my gosh, this is so limiting. Like, can I pull this off? Am I going to be able to do this? Like, you know, that's why you have those fears, like those thoughts come up, because maybe it's something that is really, you've never seen happen before, or you've never seen done before or something, or maybe like it's something that you've never done before. So it's kind of like making room for the possibility that this can be successful, that as difficult as it may seem from this side over here, that it's something that can happen, that you can pull off, and that is possible. And you just kind of have to get past the mental chatter that is telling you otherwise, that is kind of like defeating you. Because if you don't at least give this an attempt, like try to do whatever this is, I feel like it's because you let your mind take over. You let that mental chatter take over, okay? And I feel like this is something that you've been sitting on. This is something that you have like not acted on because you feel like the risk is bigger than the reward, or you felt that in the past. But I feel like now you're seeing the truth that like, that's not true, because it looks like this has to do with, again, like the fullness of who you are, your truth, your authenticity, like who you're meant to become, your individuality, something that you're meant to bloom and blossom into. You know, it's kind of like if you figured out that you're a certain kind of flower, it's creating the right circumstances, you know, like creating the right environment, the right conditions for you to blossom, to bloom, for you to thrive. It's like, I know I'm a sunflower, so I know that this is what sunflowers need. So this is what I'm going to create for myself, so that I can give myself the best opportunity to become the sunflower that I'm meant to be, you know? And we're all different things. We're all a different seed, but the seed holds the code, the entire code for what it's meant to unfold into, and then also to like reproduce and recreate itself, right? It's all in that tiny little seed. And so it's kind of like you're discovering like, what seed am I? What codes do I hold? What am I supposed to unfold into? What am I supposed to become? And then putting yourself in that environment, in those conditions, so that you can set yourself up for success, that you can be what you're meant to be, because you know that this is going to give you great joy. And it is also presenting, like I mentioned already, it's presenting itself to be like something that isn't going to be easy, because maybe the things, you know, like you're realizing like, I'm a sunflower, but sunflowers don't thrive here in this shady and wet environment, you know, like I really don't know anything about where sunflowers thrive, like actually scientifically or anything. I'm just saying, like, it's like you're discovering that where you are is not ideal for you. It's like you're disconnecting yourself from becoming your full true self by staying where you are. It's like wherever you are, it's keeping you small, it's keeping you contained, and you want to give yourself the best chance to like actually bloom and be who you are and support yourself by creating the right conditions. But I feel like wherever you are, that is keeping you contained, is keeping you small, is keeping you like, you know, not your fullest expression of who you could be, of your fullest potential. You're perceiving it to be very, I feel like, entrenched, or you're perceiving it to be very, it's going to be difficult. Like, it needs to be very precise. There needs to be like a certain expert level, like plan or something like that, like to get yourself out of this. And then you start kind of like talking yourself out of it. Like, oh, how can this ever happen? How could I ever pull that off? That's not possible. But it is possible. It is possible. Spirit is like showing me it's absolutely possible. You're just perceiving it to be really difficult. And maybe it is difficult. Maybe, you know, you are going to have to really strive for it and really work for it and really be disciplined and kind of like really be relentless like about it. Like, and the energy that you're going to need is an energy of self-belief. is that energy of like, if I manage to pull this off, the joy that's going to open up for you, and that being like worth it, like that possibility being like your motivating and driving factor of like, it's going to be so worth it if I can pull it off. So I'm going to try. And if I fail, then I fail. But at least I tried, is the energy that I'm kind of getting here. I definitely feel like there's a big fear of not being successful. Like there's a lot of anxiety when it comes to this, and overthinking and feeling like, you're going to mess it up. Like you're not really going to find the fruit that you thought you were going to find or something, or things aren't going to progress and bloom and blossom the way that you want it to find success. Like that things are just going to like shrivel up and die, or that you're not going to have enough juice to really make this happen. I'm seeing a lot of fear about that. And I'm also getting that like, even if you think you're failing, like even if you think that you've reached that point where you're failing, like maybe you will have to fail a few times or something before you reach it, and not to be discouraged by like the failures. That's another message I'm getting here. So maybe if you guys feel like you have been trying, and you have been trying to advocate for yourself and your heart and your truth and your individuality and your autonomy, you have been, but you've been failing. And that's why, you feel like, am I an idiot? Like I'm failing, am I just going to keep failing? Is this just like a fool's errand? Spirit is saying that maybe you're going to need to fail a few times before you actually win, and to keep believing in yourself, because it's all part of the process, and not to let those failures take away the possibility of success, because the possibility of success is here. It's definitely available to you, but it does seem to be like after some difficult obstacles. Like you're going to need to definitely get past difficulties to reach this success, and they just don't want you to get discouraged, like with all the failures and the time, and they don't want you to get discouraged, and especially, most importantly, they don't want you to get too much in your head and like let the anxiety win, and let the mental chatter win of like the doubt and the fear and the worry. Don't let the fear make you act in a way that is detrimental to you, and that disconnects you from you, that disconnects you from your heart. I feel like it's always worthy. Like Spirit is saying, like this is something that is always worthy of you fighting for. It's for your truth, for your authenticity. This is yang energy. This is masculine energy that wants to come through here. That it's like you're cultivating that. And that's the hardest energy to cultivate, is that true masculine solar energy. That's the hardest energy, because you always like get pushed up against difficulties and having to like move against the grain. It's not like what everybody accepts and what's easy, because it's like groupthink, and this is like society and culture and the norms, social norms, so no one questions that. This is like pushing against those things that are norms, social norms, and where people aren't going to get it, people aren't going to understand, like because it's going against those things. So people will question it, and people will raise their eyebrows, and people will be like, huh? Like, what are you doing? And that's why it's difficult. That's why it's difficult to go in this way, to move in this way, to do something different, to forge your own path, to stick to your values, to stick to your truth, even when it's difficult, even when it's hard. It's so easy for people to be like, yeah, this is important to me, and this is important to me, and I want this, and I want this. But it's very rare, let me tell you, it's very rare that person that's actually walking the walk. It's so easy to talk the talk. That's so easy to do. It's so easy to appear to be a certain way, to appear to be spiritual and upright and honest. It's so easy to pretend, but to actually be those things, to actually live up to those standards, that's something else entirely. And this is what this is talking about. This is cultivating that solar energy, that yang energy, going against the grain, sticking to your truth, your values, forging your way, forging your path. And that's fruitful in it of itself. That's what Spirit wants you to see. Like Spirit is like, you're worrying, you're focused on the wrong things. Like if you're saying like, oh, but I'm failing, but I'm a failure, but I haven't, Spirit is like, what are you talking about? They're like, how can you fail? There's no way you can fail. Ultimately, there's no way you can fail. At the end of the day, there's no way you can fail taking this road. Is it going to take a while? Are there going to be, some dark nights, some storms? Are you going to, have to go through the winter? Absolutely. Absolutely. But that's part of the process. That's part of the journey. And that's why it's so difficult. That's why so many people can't do this. That's why so many people choose not to do this. Because it's like they can't see like a guarantee. And that's the point. You have to trust. That's what trusting means. When you surrender, you're like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do my part. Spirit, may you meet me halfway. May you be the winds beneath my wings. Spirit seeks to help you. And I feel like this journey, this process, it's developing you in beautiful ways. It's developing you. You're going to be so well-rounded and so abundant in so many different ways. I feel like if you're only focused on your abundance in the material world, that's probably why you're perceiving yourself as failing. This isn't where the abundance shows itself. It can. I feel like it can and it will, but you just can't focus only on that aspect. It's like you have to be able to, like this says, like expand your consciousness, like see in all the different ways that you're developing yourself, that you're growing yourself, that you are being fruitful, being authentic, and being true. So yeah, Spirit is definitely saying that this is something that is going to take a while, is going to take a lot of strength, a lot of like willpower and determination and discipline and, self-belief and loving yourself, like self-love and self-compassion and knowing like I should be allowed and free to be who I am. Okay. Like that the fullness of who I am deserves to be expressed. There's room and space for me too. My creativity and who I am as an individual, there's space for that. There's room for that. I believe in myself, regardless of other people not really understanding you, not understanding what you're doing, not understanding like why and your motives and like why you can't just fall in line. Like why can't you just want what the rest of us want? Like why can't that be enough? Because then it wouldn't be true to you. And it wouldn't be true to your heart. You wouldn't be honoring your heart. You'd be disconnecting from yourself, from your heart, if you stayed truthful to like, cultural norms and all of those things. You'd be dishonoring yourself. This is like you want to blossom, you want to bloom, you want to become the fullness of what you're meant to be. You want to shine bright like the sun, shine bright like a diamond. And it looks like it's going to be a battle. But Spirit is saying that it's one worth fighting and there's no losing here. And if you are focused on certain losses, that you're focused on the wrong things. Because like truly there's no way that this could be a loss. But you do have to be patient. It is going to take time. I feel like also, like I said, you're misplacing something as like being a loss, but it's not a loss. It's like whatever you're perceiving as a loss, it's because you're still adhering to like whatever norms, cultural or societal norms. It's like you're still adhering to those. And so you're like, oh, like according to that lens, according to, that perspective, it's a loss. And so maybe you like feel that feeling of loss, but it's not a loss. Once you can see the truth, you'll see that it was never a loss, and it's impossible for this to be a loss. Because in the way that you're going to be successful is not in the way that whatever defines these failures, like whatever structures and systems and principles, institutions, organizations, like whatever defines these things as failure, you have an entirely different point of reference. Like there's a misalignment here with the way that you're perceiving something. It's like the very same things that you're trying to kind of go against and push past and challenge, to break free, to be what you are. That is what's defining a failure. So when you can kind of like detach from that perspective, then you'll see that the things that you've thought were failures, they're not failures. You have a whole different perspective and you're moving in a whole different direction that tells you what your success is not necessarily what those things, like those institutions and organizations, principles, structures would define as success. So that's why you can't, it's like not a good point of reference. I hope I'm explaining that correctly. So yeah, it's like you just need to bring things back into perspective. You need to be able to see like outside of whatever it is that you were taught, that you know, is ingrained inside of you, to bring balance to the situation and to move forward. Because I feel like it's all in your head, like it's all in your head. You not thinking that this is possible, or you perceiving failures and being like, I failed so many times, and like feeling anxious about those failures. And, you know, it keeps you small. It keeps you contained, and spirit wants you to bust out, you know, like bust out of your seed and like sprout and bloom and blossom. They want you to put yourself in the right environment to do that, you know, to balance things out so that you can become what you're meant to become. It's your code. It's like your purpose, right? This is very dharmic too. And this very much so also explains like a spiritual path, like a spiritual journey. You know, like it's not always easy. It's not roses and sunshine. It's just not. It's difficult. You know, like I'm seeing that meme of like what people think spiritual awakening looks like and what it really looks like, you know, like if people think it's like all sunshine and roses and rainbows and high vibes, but it's not. It's hard. You have to face some difficult things. You have to go to the dark. You have to challenge certain things and break the mold. And this is what's going to change your mind, change your perspective. And like, instead of having this negative self-talk or this negative perspective about your path, about your journey, and about, you know, the decisions you've been making and stuff like that, you're going to start seeing the truth. Like it's going to start getting clearer. You're going to get more clarity about what it is that you're really doing. And this cloud that you have like in your brain and your mind is going to move, and you're going to see the truth. Like actually, all these things that I'm afraid of, these failures that I'm afraid of, I don't even align to that. Like those aren't my beliefs. That wasn't put there by me. That's not me. That's what society tells me is a failure. That doesn't mean that's what I believe to be a failure. What society tells me is success, that's not my success. So why am I using this as my point of reference? This isn't my point of reference. And so it takes like a whole mentality shift in order for you to be able to push past like yourself, your own mind. And, you know, we don't want to be too hard on ourselves and hard on our ego and our mind, because it's just trying to protect us, you know? So like from that stance, like you see like, you know what? I know I'm just trying, like, it's just defense mechanisms. It's trying to protect us. But when you see that it's keeping you limited and small, that's when you have to be able to push past those things and work on those things to allow yourself to reach true success. The success that you define as success, the success that your heart defines as success, your truth, not anyone else's. It doesn't matter if someone else doesn't see it as success or doesn't perceive it that way. That doesn't matter. And when you can finally break free from that, can you find true happiness? Because it's like you're going to know that you're right where you need to be and that you always were. Everything that you did is worth it. And it always was worth it. Even when you thought you were failing, that was part of the journey. You were supposed to go through those failures. You were perceived failures. You were supposed to go through those dark nights, through that emptiness. It changes you. It does something to you. The obstacles, this is what transforms you. This is what turns you into a diamond, were those pressures. And when you can perceive it from that perspective, you know, see it from that light, that's when it all starts falling into place and making sense for you. And you'll see like, oh wow, I was never gonna fail. There's only winning that can happen on this path, but it's not the winning that we are taught to believe is what winning means and looks like. It's not that kind of winning. It's a different kind of winning. It's an authentic, pure, real kind of winning that not society or culture stuff put into place, or like traditions, long-standing traditions and structures, but that spirit put into place, that God put into place, that the divine puts into place. that the universe puts into place. It's those successes. It looks like there's a lot of work that needs to be done, but with love, all is possible. And I feel like a love for yourself, a love for your heart, a love to be able to express the fullness of who you are and become that, knowing that you want to fulfill this purpose, and rightfully so. We all are entitled to become our fullest potential and to become the fullness of who we are. And it's through love that it all becomes possible. Okay, you guys? So that was our message. I mean, amazing. Wow. I feel like this is where we're going. This is where we're headed. I feel like we're all just seeing the truth, like, of the journeys we've been on. Like, we're seeing the facade of it. We're seeing like the empty, the lack, where it was shallow. It's like where we were promised success and riches and wealth and all of these things. We're seeing like, oh, it's empty. It doesn't feel good. I don't like this. Why? Because you're not connected to yourself. This is connecting to yourself, turning the light on, truly coming home to yourself, walking that journey, moving past the difficulties. We all have our own obstacles and difficulties and stuff that we have to overcome. And it's like facing it head on and just doing it and not being afraid. And, because we can't see an outcome or we don't have a guarantee, like none of that. It's like trusting for real and saying like, there's no way I can lose. You're fulfilling your heart. There's no way you could ever lose on that path. And knowing this truth is what's going to, get us there. It's what's going to push us through. And maybe that's what Pluto and Aquarius is like gearing us up for, gearing us up to do. Maybe this is what this full moon wants to also help us to do, support us on our journey and our process. And this is beautiful because God knows we need a change. God knows we do. And I'm seeing that this is where it begins. This is how it starts. It's within each of us, within our individual selves, and then we'll see it reflected in our external world. And, from there we can create something that's better, something that's has substance and that has meaning and that has purpose and that is pure. Because I know you guys see that whatever it is that we've built and created thus far is a shit show. I know we all can see that much. So Spirit is just trying to help us turn it around. They're trying to tell us like how it is that we turn that around. They're literally trying to give us the steps. Like they're like, look, like you need logical steps. You like logic. You like, thinking with your mind so much and making sense out of things. Then here you go. Here you have it. They're doing it. They're doing their part. They want us to be able to logically make sense out of it. There's things that logically we won't be able to make sense out of every single thing, but like enough where we can, start making moves and moving in the right direction. And where these doubts and stuff, like where your mind takes over, they want that to like tamper down. They want to help us to alleviate that. Okay, you guys. So yeah, this was a big message. I feel like it encompassed a lot, like everything pretty much in a nutshell. I hope I did a good job explaining. If you have any questions, let me know and I'll try to clarify as best as I can. Thank you so much for being here with me today, for receiving these messages, for willingly connecting with your spirit guides and spirit angels here with me today, for allowing me to give you these messages from the divine. As always, I do personal readings, so if you would like to dive into your specific situation, or if you would like a reading that's tailored specifically for you, if you have any specific questions that you kind of want to get to the bottom of or need some clarity, need some guidance on, I'd love to help you with that. I'll leave my email in the description box below, and you can email me for details. Take good care of yourselves, and until next time, bye.